A very good evening to all of the Docker and Kubernetes servers out there. My name is Aklang Pereira and I'll be your host today. So today we have a very special event planned for you all. Where what if I tell you there is a much better tool which you can use out there instead of Docker Desktop? I'm pretty sure that most of you might be using Docker Desktop, right? Well, did I pique your interest? Well, chill, stay back, stay tuned, and let's welcome Mr. Lahiru Sammika, who is an intern software engineer at WSO2, and he'll be filling us in on how we can actually use Rancher Desktop as a replacement for Docker Desktop. So, hi, Mr. Lahiru, the stage is yours.
Hi, Akalanka. Thank you.
Stream actually. Okay.
Okay. Can you see my screen? Hello?
Yeah, your screen is visible.
Can you see my screen?
Yeah, it's visible.
Yeah, good. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you, Akalanka, and thank you all who organized this session, and especially Kanchana Vikramasinghe. And today I'm going to talk about Rancher Desktop as a replacement for Docker Desktop. And mostly I'm going to talk about my experience of Rancher Desktop. I have been using Rancher Desktop for last 3-4 months, and so I'm going to talk about the experience I had and some of the cool features of Rancher Desktop. So before going any further, please let me introduce myself. I'm Lahiru Sammika, intern engineer at WSO2. So if you want to clarify anything regarding this session, you can email me or you can follow me in LinkedIn as well. So, and I forgot to welcome you, and hello and welcome everyone. Wherever you are, good morning, good afternoon, good evening. So before starting the session, I'm going to do a simple outline. Now you can see the outline of the session. So first of all, I'm going to talk about what is Rancher Desktop, and then why we need Rancher Desktop, how Rancher Desktop can replace Docker Desktop, and then I'll do a quick demo on how to install Rancher Desktop, and then cool features of Rancher Desktop, and also I'm going to have a simple demonstration how to uh, deploy a REST API using Rancher Desktop in a Kubernetes cluster. And eventually, I'm going to talk about problems encountered when I'm using Rancher Desktop and how I solve them. So I think you're already familiar with Docker Desktop. So let's see how Rancher Desktop can replace Docker Desktop, right? So first of all, what is Rancher Desktop? Rancher Desktop is an open source desktop application for Mac, Windows, and Linux, which runs Kubernetes and container management on your desktop. So basically, Rancher Desktop is kind of an alternative for Docker Desktop, but the most importantly, Rancher Desktop is open source and free, right? You can contribute it, and you can contribute to the project, and you can enhance the project, Rancher Desktop features by contributing it. Also, it has a GitHub page, GitHub project. You can see that as well. So that's the specialty of Rancher Desktop regarding when it comes to uh, comparing with Docker Desktop. So what platforms does it run on? You can install it on Windows, Mac OS, or Linux. The installation process is super simple. You just need to follow the instructions on the documentation, right? So before going any further, I'm going to talk about the basic architecture of Rancher Desktop. So here you can see at the left side of my screen, Rancher Desktop comes with these utilities: nerdctl, kubectl, helm, and docker CLI. When you install Rancher Desktop in Mac and Linux, it installs Lima virtual machine, and on top of that, Rancher Desktop install Containerd, Dockerd, and Kubernetes, and it runs K3s Kubernetes distribution, right? It's lightweight Kubernetes distribution when comparing with K8s. When it comes to Windows, it installs Containerd and other Kubernetes stuff on top of Windows subsystem for Linux. So on top of that, you can see Containerd, Dockerd, and Kubernetes running. So to interact with Kubernetes, it uses kubectl and Helm, and to interact with Containerd, you need nerdctl. Obviously, to interact with Dockerd, you need Docker CLI, right? So this is the basic architecture. So then the most important thing is why we need Rancher Desktop, how it can replace Docker Desktop, right? The first thing is it's completely free and open source. So as you may, some of you have may already know, in the 2021, middle of the 2021, that Docker Desktop has announced that they are going to charge from large organizations like uh, users more than 200 users. So they are going to charge for using Docker Desktop. So in that case, large companies like, I'm working at WSO2, including WSO2, try to find a better alternative for Docker Desktop. In that case, this year, January 31st, Rancher Apps announced that they are going to introduce Rancher Desktop as a free and open source tool for run Kubernetes on your desktop. So that's how Rancher Desktop came to the picture. And the second thing is it's lightweight and fast with Kubernetes distribution K3s. K3s is a lightweight Kubernetes distribution when it comes to when it compares with K8s. In Docker Desktop they use K8s, but in Rancher Desktop they use K3s. It's lightweight. Let me show my browser. So there you are. There you can see Rancher documentation of K3s. They say that it's packaged as a single binary, and it consists with a service load balancer and Helm controller, traffic ingress controller, and with these dependencies. Most importantly, they say that this is half the size in terms of memory and footprint, right? That's the most important thing. So it utilizes less memory. So that's why they named it as, instead of K8s, they named it as K8 K3s. So they represent the less size here, less memory size here, right? And the next thing is it composed with both containerd and dockerd container runtimes. So if you need, you can use dockerd or Docker. If you like, you can use containerd as your container runtime, right? But keep in mind, if you are using Docker, you need to use Docker commands. If you are using containerd, you need to use nerdctl commands. The next thing is, yeah, you can use multiple Kubernetes versions when you are using Rancher Desktop. So when you are using Docker Desktop, there was a problem where you have only one Kubernetes version, right? You test your application in one Kubernetes version, then you are going to the production environment. The Kubernetes version is changed. So there is some conflicts when you are doing that. So Rancher Desktop address that issue, and they facilitate to choose multiple Kubernetes versions, so you can match your testing environment and your production environment together, right? The next thing is it comes with traffic ingress controller. So you don't need to install any ingress controllers like Nginx or any other thing. You just need to start Rancher Desktop, and it will automatically start traffic ingress control as well. But you can disable this as well. You can disable traffic, and you can install any other ingress controllers, right? So the next thing is the difference between Rancher Desktop and Docker Desktop. I have covered most of the things, I think. So let's go through this bit quickly. Rancher Desktop is totally free and open source. When it comes to Docker Desktop, it's required a paid subscription for professional use in large enterprises. And Rancher Desktop is lightweight. K3s Kubernetes distribution comes with that. When it comes to Docker Desktop, it comes with K8s Kubernetes distribution, and Rancher Desktop consists both containerd and dockerd container runtimes, whereas Docker Desktop only includes Docker container runtime. And Rancher Desktop provide multiple Kubernetes versions. I told you that. And when it comes to Docker Desktop, it's only possible to select one Kubernetes version, right? So the next thing is installation part. Up to now, is there any problem or any questions? You can ask, or you can put in the chat. Hello? Akalan, can you hear me?
Sorry, I
Hello.
was on mute. Hello. So yeah, so we don't seem to have any
Fine,
questions
right?
at the moment. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Okay. Cool. So then let's jump into installation part, right? The installation part, you just need to go. I think Akalanka, you shared the presentation, right?
Yeah.
Okay. You just need to follow this link. This is the official documentation for Rancher Desktop, and you can install it here if you are using Mac and with Apple Silicon chip. So you can download it here. If you are using Mac with Intel chip, you can download it here. When it comes to Mac, you just need to drag and drop, right? You don't need to install it, right? So in Windows, you need to download setup like this, and then you need to install it. So I have already downloaded that. I'll cancel that. When it comes to Linux, you just need to follow some steps specified here. I have installed all the Ranger Desktop in all its environments, so it's super simple, right? No worries there. You just need to follow these instructions. So after that, after downloading that, you can go to downloads and you can double click this one, right? When you double click this one, you will have to accept agreements and other things. You just need to do that, and after installing it, it will ask you to restart your machine. Restart it. Then when you double click the icon, when you after restarting, you double click the icon, Rancher Desktop icon. You can find the Rancher Desktop here by typing it Rancher Desktop, or double click the icon. Or when you click that, it will ask the Kubernetes version, and it will ask whether you are using Container D or Docker D. You just need to select one. You can change it after that as well, but however, for the initial start, you just need to select one. You can choose Docker D or Container D. It's up to you, and it will take some time to load Kubernetes, and you just need to wait some time, and you are ready to go, right? Then the next thing is I need to talk about some features of Rancher Desktop. So here I have already installed Rancher Desktop. uh, I'll start it. Oh, I have this one there. Wait, however, so here you can see in the general tab, uh, there is a link for Rancher user Slack community, and there's link for home page as well. This is the project page, and also there is a link for Rancher Desktop issues page. You can file a new issue. Okay, you can find answers for your problems, right? A lot of community support there. And after that, there's a WSL integrations tab that is showing that you are using Windows subsystem for Linux. And when it comes to Kubernetes settings, this tab is really important. You can choose whatever Kubernetes version you need. I have selected here 1.23, right? So you can enable or disable Kubernetes if you are willing to use only Docker or container, only container runtime. So you can disable Kubernetes if you are not using that. You can disable traffic as well, right? You can save your resources then. And also you can select your container runtime, Docker D or container D. I have selected Docker D here, Moby. So then I'll have to, one important thing, if you're using Docker D or Moby, you need to use Docker CLI, Docker commands. If you're using container D, you need to use netctl command, right? So as well as you can reset the Kubernetes by clicking this button, and then you can see port forwarding section. Here all the services are displayed, so you can wait. Yeah, let me close this down. The port forwarding section, you can include and exclude Kubernetes services. So when you exclude, there is no services showing because I'm not running any services at the moment. I can include the Kubernetes services as well. So it's showing that traffic services and metric server, those kind of thing, right? In the images section, you can see all the images that you are running, and it's somewhat important if you can, yeah. In the troubleshooting section, you can factory reset if you are going to uninstall and reinstall rancher desktop. You can rather doing that, you can do factory reset and start Kubernetes again, start rancher desktop again. And in the bottom of the desktop, you can see there's a rancher desktop icon. Let me close this one. There's a rancher desktop icon, right? You can right click on and go to this dashboard as well. There's another dashboard part, right? I'll discuss about this UI later. Yeah, I'll discuss this UI about later, right? So let me restart and there's some problem there, right? So the next thing is the demonstration part, right? I'll do a simple demonstration how to deploy a REST API in a Kubernetes cluster using Ranger Desktop in your local machine, right? So, right. So the application looks like this. I have this kind of uh, route. I mean, I have two routes, one post route and one get route in my REST API application. One for posting data, right? I'm using this URL for posting data, and the data goes as a JSON object, right? When I send it, it will push the data to database, but here it's not working because I haven't deployed it yet. And when I get in data, I can specify the name of the person I need. Here I have the username. I just need to specify the name of the person in the get route, and it will give you the result, right? So this is my simple API. You can change it. I'll show how to change it, how to update it. You can definitely do that. So for the demonstration, I think you have the presentation, right? There's a there's a repository. You just need to download that repository. I have already downloaded that as well. So let me start it. So this is the application. Before that, let's identify the basic architecture of this project, right? So the request, right? External request coming from Postman or anything, right? I'm using Postman here. So external, the incoming external requests are grabbed or accepted by traffic ingress controller. I think most of you are familiar with Kubernetes in this group, right? In this Kubernetes Sri Lanka group. So I'm not going to explain these things, in detail manner. I'll just go through these things, right? So there's the traffic ingress controller, right, to accept the requests, and then according to the ingress rules defined in the ingress YAML file, the request will redirect to a internal service. Here the internal service is API service. I have only defined one service in the ingress rules, right? That request then goes to API pod, right? I have written this application in Node.js, so Node.js backend, and then the request goes to MongoDB via this MongoDB internal service, and then after that, MongoDB data stored in MongoDB will stored in persistent volume as well for more protection. if MongoDB pod crashes, then data will not be lost. You can protect the data using persistent volume. So to access the persistent volume, I have defined a persistent volume as well. And then also to store the username and password, as you can see here, I have used MongoDB secret and store the database URL. I have used a config map. I think these are pretty straightforward when it comes to Kubernetes, right? So these are the files I am going to use to deploy this. For API code, I used API deployment file. For the API's internal service, I have used API service file. For the defining ingress rules, I have used ingress.yaml file. And for the MongoDB internal services, I have used Mongo service file and MongoDB pod. Here, Mongo deployment file is here. And then for persistent volume and persistent volume claim, here I have defined these files as well. And then for secret, here you can see Mongo secret. Here for config map, here I have defined the config map as well. So let's jump into the code section. So this is the YAML files we need to deploy this application, this microservice. So inside this API folder, you can see there is a Docker file and server.js file, package.json file. But you don't need to consider about this if you are not going to change anything in the backend code, right? But if you are willing to do any changes, if you are willing to add any routes here, you can definitely do that. And make sure after doing that to build the image, right? Then that image you can replace that image here, right? But if you are not willing to do any changes here, you can definitely discard that and you can definitely jump into the Kubernetes part. But for this session, I'll do some Docker parts as well, creating a Docker image and push it to Docker Hub, those kind of things as well. So before doing any Kubernetes stuff, let me do that Docker part, right? Docker stuff. So I have started Rancher desktop and I'm using Docker D, right? Make sure you are using Docker there if you are going to use Docker commands, right? So please be aware about this, right? So let me open PowerShell here. Up to now, is there any questions or any problems? If you can, you can. If you have, you can put them here. Yeah. Nothing, right? So the PowerShell, first of all, I am going to do the Docker stuff, right? This is not essential, but if you are interested, you can follow this and you can build the image and you can assign your own image to this deployment, right? You can replace this image. But if you are not willing that, if you are not, unless if you are not willing to do that, you can simply follow Kubernetes stuff, right? Without following this, without worrying about this Docker stuff. But for the demonstration, I just doing that. But don't worry, right? If you are not interested in Docker, just discard that, right? So I'm going to create an image. So first of all, let me do a simple change here. I'll add another exclamation mark here for it's a simple change, right? You can add more routes if you like, right? So then I'll create the image here. Right, I'll tag it as if you are going to push it to Docker Hub, then you need to tag the image same as the Docker Hub repository. But If you are going to make internal image, right, it's not necessary. You can use any name here, but I'm going to push this image to Docker Hub, right? So I'll rename this as, no, I have a lot of versions for testing purposes, so I'll use it as 18, right? uh, so it's running. Yeah, I forgot to add the full stop here, right? The image is created. Let's check whether the image is there by Docker images. As you can see, there was the image, right? It's showing that it's created 4 hours ago because I have, a bunch of images from same file, same Docker file. So it's using previous layers. That's the reason why it's showing 4 hours ago created, right? If you newly created a Docker file, it will show like 1 minute ago, like a few seconds ago, like that, right? So I'll push the image now to Docker Hub. It's like, yeah, using Docker desktop, right? No difference there if you are using Rancher desktop or Docker desktop. Docker push and my image name. Let's see. Sometimes it throws some errors, right, when you are going to push images using Rancher desktop. In that case, what I have done was, sometimes it worked after I restart the Rancher desktop, or sometimes in worst cases I had to restart my machine as well, right? So keep in mind there is a little issue with Rancher desktop in that case, right? They will definitely solve it in the future. When you are going to pushing the images, sometimes they are throwing errors, right? In that case, definitely it will work, it will fix as soon as you restart your machine, right? So now in this case, in this time it worked. Let me show my Docker Hub. Let's check that whether it's push or not. Let's see. Yep, there you are, a few seconds ago, right? New image has pushed. So you can run all the Docker commands using Rancher desktop, right? So it's basically running Docker. That's the case. So now let's discuss about some YAML files, right? I'm not going to describe this in detail, right? Just going, just go through this little bit quickly. So first of all, this is the API deployment YAML file. So I need to define the image here. So I have defined the an image from the, from Docker Hub, but definitely you can add any image here, even your internal image, right? If you haven't pushed an image to Docker Hub, it's okay. You can use it here as well, right? You don't need to. It's not mandatory to push an image to Docker Hub, right? You can use internal images as well. So as environment variables, I have used these things. So services ingress. So here I have hostname as myapp.com. So that's how it goes, and I have used the MongoDB latest image to create the MongoDB pod. Likewise, I have created this. I'm not going to describe this again. Like it's just because you are familiar with, I think, yeah, most of you are familiar with Kubernetes. So let's try to run this application, right, in a Kubernetes cluster. To do that, let me clear this, and I'll run this command to run all the YAML files at once. Right. Let's see. All the resources are created. So let's check whether these resources are running. I'm using default namespace, right? For the simplicity, you can definitely you can create another namespace, and you can add that namespace here, and you can deploy your application in a different namespace. But I am using default namespace for the simplicity. So as you can see, the status is running in both pods. So let's check whether this API pod can communicate with MongoDB pod. To do that, let me run this command. Sorry. And this, right. Let's see. Right, let's oh, before that I need the IP address of that pod. So I need get the IP address from this command. That's show wide. It will display the IP address of each pod. Here you can see the IP address of MongoDB pod is 10.42.0.64. So then again, I'm going to interact with the API pod again, right? Right. Here I'm going to ping to the MongoDB pod 10.42.0.64. Yeah, it's working. The communication successfully established. And then let's check our route whether it's working or not. So I'm going to post the data. I pass these data. Let's check. It's not working, right? We need to do one additional step to up and running this cluster, right? To do that, I have defined this hostname as myapp.com, right? So basically, I need to map that hostname into the local host. So to do that, I need to go to the host file in Windows and Mac and Linux, but the location of the host file is different when it comes to Windows and other OSs. So if you are using Mac or Linux, you can type how to update etc slash how to update host file. So you just need to use this command to update the host file, right? If you are using Windows, you need to go to locally C, then Windows, then to system32, and then drivers, as drivers folder, yeah, drivers, then etc. Yeah, there you go, the host file. You just need to open this with, I'll open this with VS Code, and you need administrative access as well. So I'm going to copy this one. This is the localhost URL or localhost IP address. So I need to map my app.com to this IP address. Let me copy and paste myapp.com here. Right? As simple as that. And it asks for the administration permission. I need to do that. Let me check whether it's doing so. Okay. Yeah, it's totally fine. So I have given the administration access as well. So I have done that, right? So now what will happen is router will understand there's a mapping called myapp.com to this IP address. Then it will route your request to this localhost IP address, right? That's what happened under the hood. So now let's try to send the request again. I'm going to have a post request. Yeah, it worked fine, right? You can see 200 is the status code, and let's check whether we can get that data. I have mentioned the name here at the end of the route. It's a get route. Send. Yeah, I got the data. Or let's check another name. I'll add Max or something, Mac or something, right? Let's check. Yep, you got that data, right? So, but one another thing, if you are using Windows or Mac, this will work. But still, you are using Linux, this will not work, right? In Linux, you need to do one additional thing. That is, here you need to go to port forwarding section, and you need to include Kubernetes services. So as you can see here, all the services are showing. We can port forward the services, but here I'm going to port forward the ingress, right? If you are a Linux user, you need to do this to expose your Kubernetes services to the local machine, right? Otherwise, the local machine would not be able to access to your Kubernetes services. So here, I'll include Kubernetes services. Uh, I put a tick here, and then you can see all the Kubernetes services. Here you need to forward this traffic web service, right? This is the ingress. You need to forward this service and assign a port in the local machine for this service, right? Otherwise, you would not be able to access if you are a Linux user. For the Windows and Mac users, there is a network bridge under the hood, and it will automatically, the Windows and Mac has that ability to create that network bridge between your local machine and virtual machine and your local machine, right? So when it comes to Linux has not that ability to create that network bridge, so you need to do it manually. So that's why we are port forwarding here. We assign this port number in the local machine for this traffic web service, right? By doing that, you can access to traffic service using this port, right? So 63235, I'm going to use that port number here. But if you are a Linux user, you need to do that definitely, right? Keep it in mind. Yeah, it works. Let's add another name, right? Mm, I don't know. You say John, yeah, John Good, right? It worked. And here, let's add that port number, right? And let's say John, right? So this is the way to do it if you are a Linux user. So up to now, is there any problems or any questions regarding this uh, microservice?
Hi, there actually seems to be one question. I
Yep.
displayed. Yeah,
I
see
can't
if it's
see that.
visible.
Wait,
Just see
wait,
the, I mean,
wait.
there's a banner over there.
Let's transist stop unable to have multiple group. Yeah, there is only one. I think you can use only one node, but I haven't tried that to use multiple nodes there. So I haven't tried that yet, right? So I'll definitely try to answer that. Can you? Yeah, I'll try to definitely answer that. I haven't tried it yet. So is there any other questions?
I believe we are done for now, I guess, with the questions.
Right. Let's go. Uh, Now, uh, as I told you earlier, Rancher Desktop comes with default ingress control, right? Traffic. So let's see how we can access traffic dashboard, right? In this case, just need to exit this one and then right. So I need slow. Let me clear this one. I need to port for traffic port, right? To access the traffic dashboard, I need to forward the port of traffic port. So traffic port located in a group system namespace. So let me get the namespaces. CPL all right. I need to forward this pod to access the traffic dashboard, right? Then port number, then the namespace. Right. Now all you need to do is just go to your browser and just type http localhost port 9000 and dashboard. At the end of the URL, you must add slash, right? So now you are in the traffic dashboard. You can see all the routes there, right? So there's another way to do that. Let me disconnect this. And now you can see you can't access the dashboard. If you are using Kubernetes plugin, you can do that as well. I'll show that as well. So it will load. It will take some time to load up the content and desktop, and then goes to nodes under this name. Under this node, you will be able to see all the ports. Here you can see traffic port. You just need to right click and port forward and then press enter. By doing that, you can access the dashboard again, right? You can do both of the things to access the traffic dashboard. And one another thing, to view the dashboard, here you can see the dashboard on the top, on the bottom of the your screen. You can see this up arrow, and then right click this anti-desktop icon, right? And then go to dashboard. Here you can see uh, there are bunch of things. Actually, it's almost similar to this Kubernetes plugin, right? If you're familiar with this is same like this plugin. you can see all the nodes, what are the nodes running, and you can see the ports running, and you can even edit the YAML files, right? Or you can download or create YAML files, create from YAML log, or you can execute the shell as well, right? You can do a bunch of things there. Helping 10.42.0.64, right? Likewise, you can do a bunch of things in this dashboard as well. So that's it for the demonstration, I think. You see that? Yep. If I talk about the problems encountered when I'm using Rancher Desktop, uh, one thing is to, there was a problem when I'm creating pods. Then in that case, I had to factory reset Rancher Desktop. This is like, reinstalling Rancher Desktop, right? And as I told you earlier, in Ubuntu, you can't access services without forwarding the port, right? If you are using load balance or node port to test your application, you definitely need to forward that service or assign that service into a local port, right? And then ingress, to access ingress, as I told you earlier, you need to just tick here, and then uh, if you are Ubuntu user, you need to port forward again. And sometimes, as I have earlier said, that local pull and push commands not execute properly. In that case, you need to, in my case, I had to restart the machine. But some say uh, just restarting the Rancher desktop is enough. But in my case, I had to restart the machine, right? So yeah, if you have any further problems or further issues, you can definitely go to the issues page of Rancher Desktop and file a new issue, or you can ask for help, or you can find answers for your problems, right? And then, yep, the questions part. And I'm also going to ask some questions, and WSO2 will give you some great awards, right? Great giveaways. So before that, if you have any further questions, you can ask. Right.
There's one other
So
question.
let me see
Lahiru.
that. Yep.
Yeah, I displayed it again once again. Just check the stream. So, what are the differences between Lens
Yep.
ID and Rancher Desktop?
Actually, I'm not familiar with lens ID. That's the problem here. Yep. Sometimes Rancher Desktop is using K3s. I think that's one advantage. It's utilizing less memory there. So I haven't tried lens ID, uh, so I can't say you know this is the main advantage of it. So I think, but Rancher Desktop is having, utilizing less memory because of K3s. And yeah, you can definitely, try both, and especially Rancher Desktop, and find, differences there. So
Yes, I believe we don't have any more questions at the moment.
okay, let's give some prizes then.
Let's go.
So these are my questions. uh, Why is Rancher Desktop lightweight and fast? This is first question. Second one is, what are the different container runtimes Rancher Desktop offers? Third one is, what is the built-in ingress controller that Rancher Desktop comes with? If you can answer all the questions, definitely you will win a prize.
Maybe is there anyone who can answer it right here now and then? Maybe there's one among the audience, probably. Let's see if someone jumps up and takes the opportunity. Okay, we got one
Two.
question for question two. We got one
Yep.
answer for question two.
Yeah. Yep.
Okay. Maybe like could you like show the questions again? Like maybe
Yep. Yep.
yeah.
Let me
Just
do that.
let's give them a minute or two, maybe.
Yep. Fine. Until that, I'll share a Google Sheet. If you are willing to install Rancher Desktop, and you can add your experience here. Uh, what is your name and email and hardware architecture and installation process? If do you have any issues, or then you can, if you are familiar with Ballerina, you can definitely run the Ballerina Hello service as well. If you are not, it's all right. Just add comments if you have any issues there, right? So if you are interested, you can fill that as well.
The chat seems a little bit quiet for now.
Yeah,
Okay.
got one answer, right?
Yes. So is it like do we need to like get all three correct to get the swag? So is it like one
No,
enough?
no, 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 no. One enough, but let's see how they go.
Okay.
Yeah, Randil also answered.
Because it's
Let me
using
show the.
K3s instead of K8s. Okay, we got a answer for question 3 as well.
Ingress controller.
Okay, we got answers flying in at the moment.
So let's see. I think Randil gave two answers, and also Tech Talk is Aju, right? Gave two answers correctly. So I think only one gift pack will be there. So I think Tech Talks with Aju, or I mean default one. Yeah,
Anyways, both are winners.
yeah. Just say go both are winners then. Yeah, WSO will give gift pack for both Randil and Tech Talks with Aju, right? Please send me the information of them, right? I'll
Yeah.
send them gift packs. So, do we need to answer all of them? You have already answered, I think. So, and yep, one last thing, I need to thank Kanchana Vikramasinghe. He's a member of this Kubernetes group as well. So, it's a great character. Follow him in LinkedIn and Twitter as well. So, thank you, Kanchana, for giving me this opportunity. And that's it for the presentation. And thank you, Akalanka, also.
All right. So
So,
I believe I should thank you for joining with
yeah,
us
okay.
before anything.
Yeah, most welcome. So, please send me the details of Randil and take talks with Aju, right?
Maybe like do you have your email or something? Like maybe you could ask them to send the email details via email.
My email, right? You need.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll show it here.
Oh yeah, it's available.
So, this is my email.
Yes. So let me just quickly copy and paste that in the chat as well.
Right.
So for the two lucky winners, just send your details via this email, and let's see what the prices are in for you.
Okay, then.
Okay.
Thank you so much, Akalanka, then.
Very well. So I guess we
Right.
can wrap up for the day. So once
Yep.
again, thank you for joining with us, and thank you for the audience for joining and participating in the Q&A sessions. And I believe that let's hope that we can keep in touch and stay tuned for the sessions like this.
Okay.
All good?
Bye.
Okay. Bye bye.